and humid, but other than that, it's great. So I have no complaints. What about you?
But yeah, so those
Yeah,
from
I mean,
the
I've
people
heard
attending.
so many people going there. They're like, you need to go. I'm like, okay. I mean,
It has a great food scene. The weather will be like hot, but not like crazy hot. I'm super excited. I think it'll be a really, really fun romantic weekend away.
so that's so fun. So like, how do you, when you travel, because I am obviously traveling back and forth, and I mean, I thrive on routine.
Yeah.
But how do you kind of navigate like keeping your diet and everything in check when you are traveling?
That's a great question. I actually have like an entire little program called Socially Fit on like how to like live your social life, like on the, with traveling. And what I do is, and I'll say the truth is that I don't really have like a lifestyle at home that is different. Like I don't have foods that I eat at home and a way that I eat at home that is different than the way I eat out and about and traveling, right? Like I eat all the things, like all foods fit no matter where I am, right? So when I'm traveling, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I can't eat this, can't eat that, because it's not on my plan, or I don't go like hog wild because I'm away and like no holds barred, like, right? I don't have this like all or nothing mentality. And I think that's really important, creating a lifestyle that works with you, with your constant travel, with your busy social life, with your on the go, high stress job. So what I say is when I'm traveling, the things that usually go off kilter and that I have to work extra hard on are, one, making sure I'm drinking enough water, because when I drink a lot of water, I have to pee a lot. And when I'm not in my like home or in my own surroundings, like finding a bathroom while you're traveling and like wandering the streets of some cute new town that you're not used to, you have to find a lot of public restrooms. That's not super comfortable. So I make sure I always have a water bottle with me, and I'm drinking throughout the day, but at like breakfast, lunch, dinner, back in my hotel room or Airbnb, that's when I'm really like doubling down on my water, because I don't have to think about the bathrooms. Or I always keep an eye out for like the nicest looking hotels in the area, because using a bathroom at a hotel is a lot nicer than using the bathroom at a McDonald's. So really, really prioritizing water. And then I think the other thing that kind of gets thrown off a bit when traveling is sleep, right? We're like sleeping less. We're going to bed later because we're out doing fun things. We're waking up earlier because there's more fun things to get out and do and see. So really, really trying to prioritize my sleep. Are there nights where dinner can be a little bit earlier, or are there mornings when I don't actually have to be up and out at 6 and I can like, be in bed until 8, because it is vacation too. Ideally, it is also a vacation. But if that isn't the case, and, sleep is going to be, instead of my usual 7 hours, I know I'm only going to be getting 5 or 6 because of the schedule, then what I do is I don't drink coffee after 4 o'clock. I make sure that, because that can screw with your sleep. And if I do, if you are someone who does drink alcohol, making sure that you stop drinking alcohol at least 2 hours before you're going to go to sleep, because it disrupts your sleep. You're not getting the best quality sleep with the caffeine or the booze in your system. So if we're short on sleep, we want to maximize the quality. So those would be the two things I think really being mindful of the caffeine and the alcohol.
Yeah, because like when you don't have enough sleep, you end up making poor choices. Like I
100%.
noticed, like when I'm tired for some reason, I like go to food to go like get me energy, and it's like sometimes it's like I need water. I need to take like a 15-minute like nap, or even just like lay on my prana mat or like meditate or something. Just like, and it's not even really that I'm hungry.
Right. No, absolutely. It's so interesting that you say that, because our bodies interpret thirst as hunger. So you will feel hungry even though you're actually just thirsty. So if you're drinking water and you're staying hydrated, that's a really great way to like tap into that mindfulness of what is a true hunger for you and like what is just thirst. And when we are short on sleep, we get crankier, we get moodier, and we have less we have less like resiliency to make choices in the moment that we know are going to like feel better for us, right? We're looking, our bodies are so damn smart and are like 100% designed to keep us alive, to keep us energized and alive. So when we are feeling tired or like drained, our bodies look for like the quickest form of energy to boost us up. And they know the quickest form of energy are the simple refined carbohydrates, is the muffin at Starbucks, right? Is the hot pretzel on the street, right? Those quick grab and go things that are refined carbs. And I'm not, when we're choosing a muffin or when we're having the hot pretzel, we want it to come from a place of, oh my gosh, I'm in New York City. Hot pretzels are classic. I'm going to have one, right? We want them to be like really empowered moments, not, oh shit, I'm so exhausted. I need this right now, right?
Yeah, like a conscious decision
Exactly.
versus like a passive, reactive decision.
100%. Exactly. And when we don't have enough sleep, we make a lot more reactive decisions.
I love that. I remember going to Spain and I was like trying to be like so strict on my diet. And I've like struggled a ton with like, I love sugar. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think as I've really been working on it, I don't really think I love sugar as much as I kind of say I do. I think I like the feel, like the dopamine hit more than I
Mm-hmm.
actually like the taste. But
Yeah.
when I was in Spain, I was trying to be so strict and I didn't enjoy Spain at all. And then COVID happened and that all the food comes up on my like memories and I'm like, I never got to try this delicious cupcake I
Yeah.
saw. And so I really wish I had like lived into that moment of being like present. And like you said, like you're in New York, you're going to eat that slice of pizza and you're going to like enjoy it because that's what New York's known for versus just being so reactive to like the food that you're eating.
100%. Like, you know, we only live once, and cuisine is such a huge part of life. It's that if you are traveling, it is a huge part of being immersed in another culture, right? And there is no one meal, one day, one week of eating that is going to derail your health goals, right?
That's so
Like there's no one week that's going to do it, because the truth is getting to your health goals. Let's say you've arrived there, right? Let's say it's weight loss. Getting to that weight loss, getting to your magic number, it didn't take a week, right? It probably took longer than a week to get there, and so it's not going to take. And so you're not going to lose it by just in just 1 week or just 10 days, right? It's a lifestyle. It's a lifelong. You can maintain your happy, healthy weight no matter how like no matter how much enjoyment you have. And we want to enjoy this life. And food is part of enjoyment.
agreed. What do you find for with the women that you work with is like some of their biggest challenges?
It's a great question. I think some of their biggest challenges are, like you mentioned, the sugar. I think that is a big challenge. People have like a sweet tooth, I myself included, and feel like they can't manage both. I think also a really huge challenge is all the like that has seeped in to their ether, right? All that white noise that has come through that they have like that they're convinced is like the right thing to do, even though it's not the right thing for them. It was never personalized for them. No one said like, oh, hey, Conway, this is your health goal. This is your lifestyle. These are the foods you like and love. Okay, great. This is your next step, right? That didn't happen. They're reading random shit off. I curse a lot. I hope that's cool.
Oh, I do too.
they're, re- they're reading random stuff from this hashtag or that blog or that magazine and trying to like cobble together what like what J-Lo does and like decide like, okay, cool, that's what I'm gonna do. But you don't have that life. So I think there's so much confusion around um, trying to be healthy, but not really thinking about, well, what's healthy for me? You know, someone I work with, so my clients are either women who are coming to me for weight loss or women who are coming to me for gut health and GI issues. So if you're coming to me for gut health and GI issues, Well, raw kale might not actually be healthy for you, right? Like raw kale is a healthy food, but it's not healthy for you if you are having serious IBS symptoms. It's healthy for my client who's trying to lose weight. But so there's a real big difference between what's healthy and what's healthy for you. And I think that is where most of my clients are like stuck and trying to figure out when they come to my door.
Yeah, because it's like they're trying to try on everything that's like
Yes.
under the umbrella of health,
Yes.
but it's not unique to them.
Exactly. And it's funny, like, I don't know if you've noticed this or experienced this, but like, it's almost like everyone wants to be treated and like seen as their own special, unique snowflake, except when it comes to their diet. Then they want to do exactly what their best friend is doing, their sister's doing, their roommate's doing. Again, J-Lo is doing, right? But like, no, girl, you are your own special snowflake.
I love that. So how do you like help walk people through finding out how their special snowflake they are?
Yeah, it's a great question. So really what I do is I really want to understand, what does your lifestyle look like, right? Do you like to cook? Do you hate to cook? Or are you a social butterfly and you're out and about constantly, like, making the rounds? Or are you more of a homebody and you're either going to order in or, right? Like, what is your lifestyle? And then what are your goals? And how can I blend your lifestyle with your goals? So it's like habit tweaking, habit adjusting, and also adding in certain foods. I think so many times too, women come to me thinking like they've eliminated so many food groups already. And most of the time, my weight loss clients, most of the time, they're not eating enough, and that's why the scale isn't moving, which sounds counterintuitive, right? Like when we're trying to grow our hair out, we have to get trims more regularly. Like we have to trim our hair every 3 months. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm trying to grow it long. Why do I have to trim it so often? Same concept. Like, I'm trying to lose weight, but I have to eat to lose weight. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's actually what works. So understanding what foods I need to put in, and it's just a conversation. Like I look at all of my containers as like partnerships. I want to partner with you. I want to understand what's going on for you, what stresses you out, what your lifestyle looks like. Like, are you the only person at home cooking? Do you live with a roommate? Do you take turns? Do you have a spouse? Are you taking care of kids? Do you have a dog you need to go out and walk? Like, what is happening so that we can create something that is just like seamless into that mix?
Yeah.
And so just conversation, just a lot. I ask a lot of questions.
Because it isn't one size fits all. No. Like Claudine I don't know if she's still on this, but she's my personal trainer, or she was my personal trainer in the past. And she really helped me with because she is she works with a lot of people in different ethnic groups, and like culturally, it's like, you're not going to get rid of tortillas. No. Like, it's a part of your culture. So how do you eat it and not villainize things? So, which is like so amazing. And then for me, I always I get so it's almost like we get programmed into thinking into it's so weird because we shouldn't villainize food.
No,
food is an amazing thing.
Right.
Yeah, get programmed into it oh well, I have to be keto, and I'm not. It's these super big extremes, or it's people will be well, you eat out all the time, that's why you're not losing weight. I'm well, I am single, so I'm not going to food prep because that's grosses me out. I don't want to make a massive amount of food for just myself of the same exact thing. I just get grossed out. Yeah, and it's not. You don't work for me.
You don't. It's so funny. I just posted about this morning on my feed, all the reasons why your diets didn't work in the past. And one of them is it's trying to turn you into someone you're not. If you don't want to cook, you don't have to cook. Right? Your approach, your plan should work for you. You're not supposed to fit into that plan. The plan is supposed to fit you. So you don't have to cook, and you can still lose weight and still keep your energy up, whatever the goal is. And I think, when you were talking about tortillas and foods and demonizing foods, food has no moral code, right? The cupcake did not steal your boyfriend. That cupcake did not cheat on you. I'm sorry, right? So you are not bad because you ate that cupcake. right? You're not good because you ate a kale salad, right? You are bad or good based on how you treat other human beings around you, right? And so, and our language, which I think is something you also, um, really value and preach and work in, is like our language matters. So when we say, like, when my client is like, oh my gosh, I was so bad today. I had like the pasta for lunch. I'm like, you weren't bad. We're not bad. I'm not bad because I had pasta. You had pasta. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You feeling like you were bad it probably didn't taste as good.
Yeah.
Right? But equating our self-worth based on what foods we're eating, that's a losing game. It's a
Yeah.
losing game.
I've been trying to like not villainize food because I've had eating disorders, and like I would use drugs to like stay skinny or whatever. And so it was after I lost my dad that it like threw me into just like completely changing my life. And that was becoming like athletic, or, just like working out every day. And then I was working on my food because obviously when you're emotional, you start eating differently, right? Because like it's a comfort. And
Definitely.
so being more mindful of like why I'm doing something. So I had a friend in from out of town. She's like, oh, and there's like, so I live like right downtown in Nashville. So there's like a raw cookie dough bar. It's kind of like an ice bar. And she's like, do you want to go get one? And I was thinking inside of myself, I'm like, oh my God. Like I had this like crazy panic. And then I got it and I felt so weird eating it, even though like I eat healthy.
Yeah.
All the time. I avoid all of the ingredients that like are inflammatory or whatever, or to the best of my ability,
Yeah.
And I was like, this is crazy. This is
Right.
crazy. You can't just be like, I can eat this and it's fine. Tomorrow you're going to work out. You're going to be fine. Like nothing's like the world's not going to fall apart because you had raw cookie dough, whatever. You're not eating every day. Like, but that's like where I'm like, man, like I don't know if maybe I'm just crazy, but I feel like there's got to be other people that are feeling this way.
Oh my gosh, you're not crazy. You're in the norm. You're totally in the norm, right? Like you're not crazy. So many people's what they're eating affects, like they're caught up in like a loop. They're caught on a loop because of a food choice that they're making based on previous like diets or what so many of my clients are like have taken up, like their relationship with food has really been like because of their mom's relationship with food, their sister's relationship with food, right? So it's like, and all that just seeps in. We're sponges. So what I say when my clients are like, initially when we first start working together, by the time we're done working together, their language is like hella better. I don't know if people still use the term hella, but I do.
I like it. I think it's like Y2K's back, so it's fine.
But so, one thing I always say is like, there are two things to ask yourself. One, what is my goal? Is my health goal to like maintain? Is my health goal to change in some way? Change meaning lose weight, gain muscle, do I need to gain weight? Like what is happening? Am I trying to stay the same or am I trying to shift in some way? And then, so understanding what your goal is, and then also, I wonder if like for you, if the choice to have that dessert would have felt like what your mindset or inner dialogue would have been if it was like your suggestion versus her suggestion.
Yeah. Well, I always want to eat there.
Right. But if you were like, because so when I talk to my clients who have sweet teeth and want, right? Because again, I believe all foods fit. Desserts are a part of life, a very delicious, wonderful, necessary part of life. Right? Like part of that dessert is looking forward to it, is planning it into like your day or your night or your vacation and like really looking forward to it. And when it does come, when it is our choice, when we're like, oh, you know what? Michelle's going to be in town. Tuesday night, I'm going to take her to Dough and we're going to get this like awesome dessert together because that's going to be really fun. And we're going to do that together, right? You get to look forward to it. It gets to be part of your day. You can like plan for it, and then you savor it, and it's way more enjoyable in the moment versus a more like spontaneous dessert or spontaneous treat where one, you do get in your head about it because it wasn't like you weren't thinking about it, you weren't planning for it, and it wasn't even your idea, right? So we can get, if planning out into your week like fun treats, whether they are sweet or savory, it becomes way more empowering, and you get to enjoy that food way more like in the present moment, and then you get to forget about it in the present moment also.
Yeah, because you're being intentional about it.
100%. 100%. And I think too, being intentional, I mean, it has to come from you. Like if she suggested it and you were like, you know what, that does sound really good, I am like, yeah, I'm gonna work that in, that's gonna feel really good, great. But if you were like, oh, I'm not sure, I didn't really want this, but like, okay, but I don't, but like she's here and she wants it and she's never here and it will be fun, like the conversation in your mind matters around that dessert.
Totally. So do you find that a lot of your clients have like that, just like that constant, like
Yeah,
feed loop going in and
I
out?
found when we first start working together, yes.
So then
Yes.
like, by the time they're finished working with you, or like, you know, have like been a little bird that's left the nest, they
Yeah.
they're basically like you help them reprogram their thinking around
Correct.
it.
Correct. And that doesn't mean that those thoughts don't still come in. Those thoughts 100% come in, but their response to them is different.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll like, and yeah, and so, and that's something that we work on. And that's something that's one of the reasons why my containers are long, because we can lose the weight a lot quicker than we can change our mindset and and like our verbiage in our head. So making sure we have the space and time to do both of those things. You know, something that comes up for me, you've done EMDR, right? You're yeah. Do you do EMDR also?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
excellent. So we'll talk about that too. But I had started working with an EMDR therapist about a year and a half ago. Like changed my life in terms of my trauma. You know, I lost my brother, and what I had noticed is like after certain calls, we would hang up, even though I did like the meditation and I was calm or I wasn't activated, I was still in my feelings, and we would hang up, and immediately my body would say, ooh, you need some chocolate. That was like an immediate response. And right. So like I'm a human being. I'm a dietitian, but I'm a human being. And so like that was my like immediate response. But I could say to myself, you're sad. You're craving
Yeah.
chocolate because you're sad, because this was a hard session and you're sad right now. What could make you happy aside from chocolate? And so then my response usually to myself is taking a walk outside and calling my best friend. That will make me happier. And so that's what I do. Right? I'm not trying to stop the thought or the knee-jerk reaction of like grab a piece of dark chocolate. Like I can't do that. I can't stop that knee-jerk reaction. That's going to happen. And it's a futile effort to try to stop it. But asking myself, well, why do you want, like, wait, you're sad. What's happening? What is happening in your life right now? And then because I eat chocolate whenever I want, like when I want actual chocolate from a place of like, ugh, I want my chocolate.
Like
It's different.
savoring it versus shoveling it in.
Yeah.
You don't even remember
because I'm sad.
You're just
right.
trying to avoid.
And that's the same thing with like sugar, right? And the comfort foods, that dopamine hit, it makes us feel good. And sometimes we're craving feeling good more so than we're craving the food itself.
Oh, 100%. I call it like blackout eating.
Ooh, well, I like that.
Blacked out.
Yeah.
And like, did you, like, if you actually think about it, like, do you even remember what you've left out or what it tastes like? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you're like, no, I don't remember it at all.
Right. Exactly. So, totally.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, we obviously have totally different backgrounds. Like, we have like dealt with grief, and you're a dietitian and I do like trauma work, but it's all like interconnected because it all comes down to our minds, like, and just looking at feeling our emotions and like labeling them instead of just being reactive to them. and then it kind of
100%.
in every area of our lives.
Yeah. And I will say that, like, and it's a skill. It's a skill to learn. And that's what you and I do with our clients. We help our clients learn this skill.
Yeah.
We help our clients like embody this skill.
Yeah,
And
it's
part,
like a
yeah. And part of it is like giving yourself grace in that moment and then being like, well, what's really, okay, what's really going on?
yeah.
What's really happening here? I'm sad, I'm frustrated, I'm stressed. You know, like what is one other thing aside from the chocolate or the muffin or the cookie? What is one other thing? One thing that would make me feel differently that is not food related, and then do that.
Yeah. That's how I kind of like, that's how I got into just like working
Yeah.
out as much as I was with my dad, was because I just had all this like energy. And I mean, obviously when you go through grief or something really big, it just feels overwhelming and it just feels literally like energy. And I just needed to release it somehow. So I would go on like 3 to 4 walks a day and work out. And I was like, I mean, that is like not, I'm not going to say to anyone like, you should work out that much a day. That's not either.
Right.
I mean, that's addiction in a different sense. Like
Right.
that's dopamine hit in a different sense. Anytime you're having any of those things, you're just hitting a different dopamine
Correct.
thing, you know, and that's not healthy either. Like your body needs rest.
Right.
Because
100%.
it can't repair. And so, but that was what I was doing. It's just like moving energy. The same thing as like eating. You're like trying to move that energy, and it's like not really necessarily the most constructive way.
Yeah. And I would say 100% like walking it like, and exercise, but walking is like a little, can be, depending on what exercise you're doing, walking can be a little bit more gentle, like a gentle form of like moving that energy through you. And I think that's why my go-to self-care is walking. I just want to walk. Like I say, I'm like out in the fresh air. I live in New York City, so we're limited here with the fresh air, but like just walking, just being outside, walking in my neighborhood, like that moves mountains for me, emotionally, mentally, physically. But with this image of like moving energy through you, food physically is like pushing it down.
Oh, literally.
Literally pushing it down versus letting it out.
Mm-hmm.
Which exercise, right? You're sweating, the walking, you're like, right? The energy is coursing out of you. Food, you are shoving the energy, the feelings, the emotions down. So it's not going to release because it's too far down now.
Yeah. Because you're just like literally smothering it.
Right. 100%. 100%. It's a way of avoiding.
Mm-hmm.
It's an avoidance mechanism.
And I just wanted to open up to anyone that's like watching this. Like, if you guys have questions, you can definitely just like type them in, and we'll definitely be open to answering them. I should have opened with that. But at any point, if you want more clarification on anything, like we are happy to answer any of those around anything. So just ask away. Especially if you're struggling with anything, like you have access to Bridget, and she's amazing. So
here I am. Ask me your questions.
Dude, it's like such an interesting thing, like just having it all be connected. And like, how many women do you feel are struggling with like, I mean, I feel like I was talking with my girlfriend at lunch before I got onto this, like how many women are probably struggling with body dysmorphia? And I was like, I think it's like 90% of the American population or more has got to be struggling with body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
And just like not being able to see who they actually are.
Yeah. 100%. So I don't have an exact statistic. That would be interesting. I should look that up. But I can tell you, I can tell you from like my clients, from my Instagram community who sends me DMs, from my own friends and like people in my life, like we have a really hard time seeing ourselves for who we are. And that's true in a lot of ways, right? Sometimes we have a hard time seeing all the incredible positives about ourselves. We need a best friend to reflect back, like how amazing we are in certain ways. Same thing is true with our body, you know? And I think, and even though like our focus is women, like men, I want to loop men into this too, because they also suffer with body dysmorphia.
100%.
And so it's rampant. And I think, you know, once like my clients will come to me And again, the majority of my clients are coming to me to lose weight. And so we lose the weight. But a lot of the deeper work that we do is reconnecting them to their body, which honestly has nothing to do with the weight.
Yeah.
Right? Like the weight is going to fall off because we're changing around some of your habits and your eating patterns. So like the weight's going to fall off. But the weight is going to stay off because of how much more connected you feel to your body. And so and like it has to go hand in hand. And so many people they have such body dysmorphia. There's such a disconnect.
Do you feel that, like, how do you help people process through that? Because obviously, yeah, you're going to change the tangible things like what they're eating and all that, but their mindset, like, how do you help them kind of work through that? What does that look like? Because that's huge. That's much harder than giving someone back. You know?
Yes, it's hard. It's harder. It's intangible. You know, two things happen. One, I'm really, really good at like knowing my scope and knowing what is out of my scope. So I am quick to refer a client to a psychologist, to a therapist, to EMDR. Like I want my client to feel resourced in all the ways. So I'm quick to do that if that is what the next step is. And then that therapist or coach and I get to work together on this. But what I do, what is in my scope, is detangling the language around food. Because when we detangle the language around food, and like my previous example, so you are not bad or good based on what you ate. And so if you stop associating your self-worth with your food, we get to then just look at your self-worth.
Yeah.
And then look at your food. Like we get to separate them. And so it all starts with our language. And then also I wholeheartedly see food as a form of self-care. So deprivation and restriction, that's not self-care. Or that is your or that is actually what is currently in your toolkit. But we need to like peel that out. And like what does self-care, so understanding what for my client, like what would self-care look like for them, and then being able to incorporate food as like a really important part of that. Because I want you to eat like you love yourself, not like you hate yourself, right? Not like you resent yourself, not like
yourself up later for it.
Exactly. So a lot of it is it is really, really the language, and like, you know, really creating a much healthier relationship with food. That's the work that I do. Like, yes, we're losing the weight, but underneath the weight, we're rebuilding and recreating your relationship with food. And through that, your relationship to your body changes too.
Yeah. And that's long term. That's
long term.
Like diets don't
work. Exactly. That's how you keep the weight off. You know, and I don't personally work with clients who have eating disorders. I work with clients who have disordered eating, right? So it's a distinction. It's a thin little line, but it's a line, right? And the truth is the amount of people who have disordered eating patterns, disordered thoughts about food, like that is rampant.
And can you elaborate on distorted eating pattern?
Yeah. So having food rules, that is, right, having food rules, like foods that you can never have, foods that you can have, associating a morality with food, good foods versus bad foods, having a like all or nothing approach. You are either full speed ahead, all in, massive restriction or deprivation, or like 100% on it, inflexible, right? Versus totally, I ended up having the fries, I wasn't supposed to, so like screw it, nothing matters anymore mentality. Yeah. So like all of that is very disordered. Or like I want to say also, I think like the 80s 90s language around like fat free, low fat, all this like fake stuff, all the like frozen yogurt and fake shit has like also really, really compacted the issue. fat is our friend. Healthy quality fat is our friend. It actually expedites our weight loss, and swapping out like natural fat that's supposed to be in a product for a fat-free option, that fat-free option is going to have more salt and more sugar, and that is going to screw up your weight goals. That is going to mess with your mood. So like this whole like fat-free, low carb, zero net carbs, like all of this language, all of these claims, like really wiping the slate clean on all of that.
Yeah, because that was what I was going to ask you next, because I feel like the quality of the ingredients like is huge. So I was going to ask you, like, what do you feel about the quality of ingredients? Like, do you think like going towards mostly whole foods, like in their natural state, not, you know, what do you feel about it?
Yeah. So I think, you know, I think that if you have the means and the desire to eat all organic foods, great, rock on. If you don't have like, you can still live a very healthy life. Like you don't, not eating organic foods. You don't have to eat organic foods. But what we do want to eat is we do want to focus on whole fresh foods, meaning not ultra processed. Ultra processed means anything that is coming from a box or a bag. Those things are going
So
to be
wrapped
like,
in plastic.
right, exactly, wrapped in plastic. But I think, and you can, if you know, I would say that like if you have your nutrition basics covered, right, and that's gonna look different for everybody, but generally speaking, you're eating consistently throughout the day. You're eating a good source of like protein and fiber at every meal. You're drinking your water. You're getting good sleep. Like, you're eating quality fats. Like, if all your basics, what I consider the basics, are covered, and you want to go next level, you want to learn more, you want to like nerd out with me on nutrition, then I would teach you a little bit more about like what we're looking for on a nutrition label, what we're looking for in ingredients, what we're not. But most of the time, my clients are coming to me like not having their nutrition basics covered. And what matters more to me is that you're eating spinach over you eating organic spinach, right? Or like not eating spinach because you can't afford the organic version, right? Like, so that matters a lot to me. But eating whole fresh foods, the more plants you have in like your day, the better. So plants meaning whole grains, right? Brown rice, quinoa, oatmeal, wonderful. Fruits and veggies, yes. And the plant-based protein. So legumes, edamame, chickpeas, beans, having a variety of these things in your day, we're good. Eating the rainbow, we're mostly good. I'm not anti-animal protein. Get your chicken in, get your fish in. If you like steak, add all that shit in too, if you wish to. But really making sure you're eating a lot of plants throughout the day is important. And one huge tip to know is that any fake version of the real thing is going to be unhealthier for you than the real thing. So having
fake chicken?
Oh my God, the impossible meats, don't even get me started. But like the fake chicken, the fake cheese, the fake ice creams, having a smaller amount of the real thing is always going to be healthier for your body than having a lot of the fake thing.
So are you talking about like Halo Top for the ice cream?
I am. Halo Top, or like the enlightened one. There's an enlightened ice cream, like all of that. And the fact that Halo Top like promotes, I think, like right big on the pint, it says like this whole pint is like 300 calories, like as if you could and should eat an entire pint of ice cream. Like, what kind of habit is that? That's not a habit that we're trying to promote.
That is one thing that I had like one personal trainer say to me. He was like, he's like, great that you're eating something of quality ingredients, but like if you're eating a whole pizza, I want to know why you're eating an entire pizza.
Right.
It could,
yeah.
I'm great. That's awesome. You're eating great quality ingredients, but why are you eating a whole pizza?
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
okay.
a great question. Yeah, right.
I
And
don't
like,
know
so the
why.
habit,
It's an emotional
right,
thing.
100%. So like, there's what I talk to my clients about all the time too, is like, there's the what we're eating, but then there's also the how we're eating. And the how comes into play with like, right, are we eating the entire pie? And maybe, you know, and the truth is, maybe we're eating the entire pie because we're emotional, or maybe we're eating the entire pie because we actually didn't eat anything all day. We just had this intense workout and our body is starving. So yeah, of course we're gonna eat the entire pie. That makes sense. We're human, right? But understanding, like, and if it is the emotional part, understanding why that is and what like how else we could help ourselves. If it is the I was starved, I didn't have any other meal that whole day. Okay, and then how can we fill in the blanks throughout that day so that you don't end up sitting down at 8 o'clock at night and eating an entire pizza pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of this, I think too, like all of this is from a place of awareness. None of this is from a place of judgment. None of this is like, I don't judge my clients. You don't judge your clients. None of us are judging them. They judge themselves. And like being able to release that, like if this is if you can get to a place where you are just like trying to understand yourself and why you're making certain choices, that's how we shift and create new habits and new patterns. Not through judgment, not through deprivation, and not through judgment, but like awareness is how we reach our goals.
And that's basically like, I'm sure that's why we both got into doing what we do, even if we're in totally different fields. We do overlap.
100%.
It's just like we aren't judging our clients. Like we merely got a lot out for ourselves and want to be able to share that with others. Like, how did your story start of you getting into this?
Yeah. So I went to college, and my senior year of college, I gained a lot of weight. I was stress eating for my finals. I think I was also pretty emotional. My brother died my sophomore year of college, and I didn't know this at the time, but I know this now. I was dealing with a lot of like anxiety about going back home to my home without him, and like going back to like New York and him not being there. Like all of that was happening. And so yeah, and like I gained weight in college. I mean, I think an average college student is also gaining weight, but I had this extra layer to it. And so I graduated, I moved into Manhattan, and I had honestly never dieted. Like that was not part of my childhood. My mom's relationship with food was pretty stable. Nothing I noticed. Like dieting wasn't a big part of my upbringing, but I like didn't even know where to start. I was like, I want to lose weight. I don't even know what to do. I had zero nutrition education, food education. Like I ate whatever my parents put in front of me. And then in college, I ate whatever my sorority house was serving. I didn't think of anything. So I went to see a dietitian, and she put me on a calorie count. So like she taught me how to do math. She taught me how to do math really, really well. She didn't really teach me how to eat from a nourishing standpoint. She taught me how to do math. And I 100% lost the weight. But I was so stressed out. Like I remember countless weekends where I would tell my friends on a Saturday night, like, I'm not going to meet you for dinner. I'll just meet you at the bar after, because I didn't have enough calories to both drink and have dinner out with my friends. I had to pick and choose. So I would eat like a bland, boring AF salad at home, like no dressing, saving all my calories, and then meeting them at the bar or the club to drink and have fun with them. But like they had 2 hours together that I missed out on, you know? And so yeah, over calories. And I was like, it's not fun. And I went to Italy with my family, and I ate whatever I wanted to eat, but I was constantly in my head about like tallying things up and like feeling really bad because the number was so far beyond the number it's supposed to be.
Oh my God.
I
couldn't even enjoy
your
beautiful trip.
No. And like I ate it, but I was overwhelmed and felt really badly about myself. And so I came home from that trip and I was like, well, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to last. I can't think in numbers anymore. Um, so I had stopped seeing that dietitian, and again, it worked, right? Like physically, externally, like I looked great, it worked, but I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I blend the two? Yeah. How do I blend the two? How do I look great and feel great at the same time? So that's when I started to really dive deep into like nutrition, understanding, whatever I could on my own, and then I decided to go back to school. That like this is way more of my passion than it is my hobby. I want to be able to help other people like piece together the fact that you can eat what you love and lose weight at the same time, that you don't have to pick and choose. So I went back to school to become a dietitian, and that was 2009. Yeah, I've been an RD now for almost 11 years.
And now you have so many accolades too.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
you've been in Shape magazine and Vogue. Like that's amazing.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
and you've changed so many people's lives. Like that's so, I mean, what a calling on your life, like just having I mean, it's so crazy. Like the experience of like losing your brother.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the same thing with me. Like I lost my dad, and that put me into like, I need to look out for my self-care, and then being able to offer that to other people, that's huge.
Yeah.
Let's see. Claudine asks us a question. Do you see a huge difference between men and women when it comes to the emotional side of disordered eating, or are they pretty similar?
It's a great question, Claudine. So I will say, because we're all humans, we're all seeking comfort in food. We may all be like, if that is your current tool that you're using, emotional eating and comfort foods, that men do the same shit. They do the same thing. But in my experience, and I've only, when I first became an RD, I worked with men and women. Now, and for the past 4 years, I've only worked with women. But typically, in my experience, women tend to gravitate more towards like sweeter treats, and men tends to gravitate more towards like more savory, salty treats. But they have the same pattern of like, it's a comfort food. There's shame around it. They're hiding it. No one else is around when they're doing it. It is not something that they like feel great about. No one they're in any way. So I think it's a little bit, and this is a huge generalization, but the emphasis on the female body is very predominant in our society, a little bit more so than the male. And men have physical pressures too. Yes, I hear that. I see that. I'm here for that. The physical pressure on women is really different in our society. And so I think women internalize it a little bit differently. So it ends up feeling like it ends up getting so layered into like their self-worth in a different way. Also, typically women tend to be a little bit more people pleaser-esque, and so this also comes into like, well, I have to look good for like, for everybody else too. Like there's so much that women internalize with this that men, for their betterment, don't internalize as much. But there's pressure on both men and women, and both men and women, like there are men and women who eat their feelings. Yes, 100%, 100%. I think also women do have the benefit of like, because we are a little bit more emotive and like talkative than again, huge generalizations, but we are a little bit more emotive and talkative than men. We tend to seek support for that more so. We tend to reach out to a therapist, or reach out to a dietitian, right? Connect to a psychologist, connect to someone who can help us a little bit more easily. Or yeah, we seek out support more so than men. I mean, it's also, there is 100% statistics on the fact that, you know, men don't see doctors as frequently as women do, right? Like they don't take care of themselves. They're not going to, they let their like annual GP appointment fly by every year and not like make it happen, more so than women. Men tend to like try to tough it out, and like only go to a doctor when they absolutely need to, versus women who are, generally speaking, statistically showing, we seek support and advice and help a little bit more frequently.
Dude,
I hope
that's
that
right.
answered your question.
You said we don't feel as alone as men. How powerful a
Yes.
statement is that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
like, makes my heart hurt.
I know. Well, because we are, and that's a society thing, right? Like women have really emotional conversations with each other. Typically speaking, men talk about sports with each other. They talk about sports and work, and women in our relationships, we talk about literally everything. You know,
Yeah.
also a lot of times, activities that like women do, like you and I will sit down and have coffee together. We're looking each other in the eye. We'll sit down and like we'll go to dinner together. We're looking each other in the eye and we're talking. A lot of male activities, they're like standing shoulder to shoulder and like not looking at each other, right? They're watching sports. They're hanging out. They're like right shoulder to shoulder. They're watching sports, or they're playing golf, or they're like, or they're working and they're looking at their computer, right? They're less, they don't
Like
sit down the same way. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. But I never really thought of that either. That they are kind of a little bit more alone than us, even though they're surrounded by people.
Surrounded by people, you know, and that's 100%, that's like society that, you know, they're supposed to be strong and silent, like, or whatever messaging they are receiving about what it means to be a man or a masculine or strong is, my hope is that it's changing and shifting. I don't know if I'm only seeing it change and shift because I'm in the wellness space, and like everyone I talk to that's in the wellness space, all we do, men and women, all we do is talk about our feelings and our emotions and how we're helping ourselves and our self-care routines and like, right? So I'm not like, I don't know what's happening outside of that necessarily. Right? Like the men I connect with are talking about this shit, but I know statistically the men that are not in the wellness space are a little bit more like, yeah, grinning and bearing it, I guess.
Yeah. You know, it's like fascinating though, is because we are all interconnected, and we all, you know, like when you walk into a room, you can sense the energy from someone. So like that's how we are connected to each other. I really do feel like there's this transition that's happening even culturally, because I mean, you've been in the wellness field a lot longer than I have, but being in our little like bubble of health and wellness, I do feel like, especially living in California where it's much more health and wellness focused, and then being in now where it's a little bit behind in the, you know, that's a nice way of putting it, it's a little behind.
Very PC of you.
Kind of seeing how it's like starting to come about. And I really do feel that like when one of us heals, we all heal, because we literally are sending that energy out amongst ourselves, right? Like you're a walking orb of that, and just how you present yourself when you go to talk to speak to the cashier at the grocery store or anything, like we do carry that. And I think as when one of us heals, we all heal. So as we're all working on ourselves, eventually it will get to that point of being able, that it is more socially acceptable, that it's just a part of the norm. And looking at CEOs that, you know, a lot of CEOs meditate, and like that would have been 10 years ago very woo-woo,
right,
in different states, and now it's kind of becoming a more of a cultural norm. And just being able to talk about like food and like your relationship with food, and not villainizing it, but maybe not, you know, eating biscuits and gravy every day. You know, like you eat it, you enjoy it, and you're conscious of eating it, versus just getting into a routine and being like, I don't know why I don't feel good.
Right. Yes. And I think I 100% agree, which I think is like our energies synced up immediately in that Zoom room, which is, right, like how we connected. I think that energy has a lot to do with how society changes. And right, I mean, the whole concept of like act locally, think globally, there's nothing more local than your own self.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're doing the work on yourself, whatever that work is for you, if you're bringing that awareness to yourself, if you are bringing that mindfulness to yourself, that if you are bold and brave enough to talk about your feelings and your emotions, you make it more comfortable for everyone else around you to talk about their feelings and their emotions,
Yeah.
and the path that they're on, and like, and that like radiates out of you. Yeah.
100%.
Totally. Yeah.
Like even like listening to like a love song, and like if you re-listen to a love song and make it about you and your love with yourself, I think that's huge. Just reconnecting with how much we are supposed to love ourselves first and foremost before we can ever show up in the world and give that love out to anyone,
I love that.
That's first. And so I started looking at like love songs in that way. Like, this is how I should be feeling about myself,
I love
not
that.
someone else, because it starts with me.
Yes. I think you like gave me chills. Yeah. Yes. We should be thinking about the love songs for ourselves, which is why I want you to eat like you love yourself.
Exactly.
I don't want you to eat like you hate yourself. And if you're eating things thinking, I'm guilty, like I shouldn't be doing this, like there's shame around this, there's guilt around this, there's judgment around this, none of that is love.
No. You're creating like,
yeah.
we get to create heaven or hell on earth for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I don't want to create hell around eating. Like, it's necessary, first off. I have to eat to survive. But
Correct.
how to eat in a way that is very loving to ourselves and sees who we are without judgment.
Absolutely. No, it's so interesting. Like, that's the thing. When you do have like disordered eating or eating disorders, like if you are in recovery from your eating disorder, you can't, versus like a different type of recovery, you can't not eat. You can you cannot go into the bar. Like if you're no longer drinking alcohol, you cannot go into the bar. You can go to the coffee shop instead, right? You cannot go into the bar. I'm not saying any of this is easy. I'm just saying that's an option. It's an option to not go into the bar. It's not an option not to eat food.
No. And sometimes it's just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sober and like now I can go into bars and I don't feel pressured. But when I first got sober, there was a lot of pressure because I had like a habit that I was trying to break, right? Like you walk up to the bar and you order a vodka soda. Like I did that recently by accident. I've been like not drinking for 3 years, and I walked up and I was like, what just came out of my mouth? I'm like, no, I don't want that. I was like, I don't know where that came from.
Right.
But it's an auto response, but now it's like you're able to do it. So like you can go into an ice cream shop and not feel like this is the last time I'm ever going to have ice cream. I'm going to get every scoop.
Right.
Like,
right. Totally. And like, when you're in the process of recovering from your eating disorder, you still have to eat. You don't have the option of like, you don't have any other option. You have to, because you have to survive. Right. So like you have to eat to survive. And so it is a little bit like shock therapy, like aversion therapy, because you are, and again, like the eating disorder is not about the food, right? It's about the mind and what's going on in the mind. But the food is the symptom, and you are fit. And that's true with all addiction, right? Like this is the symptom, but the issue is going on in the mind and the soul. But you can't avoid the symptom when it's food. And so understanding how do I tease these things apart, and how do I heal through the discomfort of this activity?
Yeah. And it's literally like the healing is, I always like think of it as like it's just a muscle that needs to be strengthened. Like when you first go to the gym, like how many squats, you start with air squat, and then you add weight, and then you increase your weight, and like, you grow stronger. But that's the same thing with like the mental part of eating and consuming or whatever you're
Yeah.
consuming.
Yeah. And I absolutely, um, and with my clients, I talk to them about like taking a mindful moment, right? Like doing a couple of rounds of breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 8, and like a few rounds of that. Um, I have within my group programs, I'll also have like a guest expert come in and do like tapping, showing us how to like, giving them like a tap. Me too. I love tapping. And that's something that you could also do that. Like when you're like sitting at the restaurant or you're walking, like you can be tapping through it. Like there are ways to help us flex this muscle.
Mm-hmm. I do. So I just had a live event that I did in Nashville, and it's amazing because I do an E4 trauma method. So I walk people through their trauma. So because you have like these highs, right? So it just neutralize out the feelings. But when you add on the tapping to it, it's something that tangibly is easy to carry with you throughout the day. And even if you're going on a walk or whatever. So I've been starting to do it around food for myself. And just being able to say, like, I may not be exactly where I'm at right now, but I accept myself fully.
Yes. I love myself anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Is that beneficial for you? Are you noticing a shift?
I have noticed it's change, and especially around when I'm feeling stressed, because like I told you, like when I get tired, I like reach for food. And I'm like, girl, you're just fucking tired. So the first thing is acknowledging and feeling into what it is, right?
Awareness.
Yeah. And like that's the thing. A lot of us don't talk about our feelings enough, and we don't even know what it is. Like when you were like, I'm reaching for chocolate, and it's like, well, what is this feeling? Oh, I'm sad.
Right.
Okay, well, chocolate's not really going to solve the problem, so let's go for a walk. You know, like I feel like so much of we are all so disconnected. We just feel stuff, and it's not how we want to feel, and it feels uncomfortable. So I want to run away from it and escape.
Right.
And it's like, no, feel into like what it is. So being able to like do tapping into those direct points as to, even though I'm having anxiety right now, I accept myself fully.
Yes.
Because it's not the end.
No. And I think too, like, if we don't get curious about ourselves, if we're not curious to know ourselves, what the fuck are we doing here? You know,
exactly.
Like I want to know myself. And I think, like that can be scary because we all have a shadow side, and that's okay. We all have it.
Well, yes, everyone have it.
Right. And so like
friends with the shadow
side.
Side.
Exactly. And so knowing ourselves, getting curious about ourselves, like, wait, why am I reaching for chocolate? I just had lunch. I'm not hungry. Like, it's not hunger. So like, what is it? Oh, right. I'm sad. I'm like crazy sad right now. Got it. That's what it is. Right. Or I'm bored, whatever it is, right? Like the same way what you said in the bar, like it just rolled out of your mouth, but you're like, wait, what just happened? That's not what I meant. Yeah. Right. It's the same thing. There's like a knee-jerk reaction, and that's okay. The knee-jerk reactions are okay. It's what it is. What we want to do is become aware of them and then get curious about them. Bring awareness to that knee-jerk reaction. Like, wait, what's that? Oh, that's not what I want. What I want is this.
Yeah. It's just being mindful. What would you say? I mean, I know there's so many different like ingredients and stuff, and I don't want to villainize food, but I just have a question.
Totally.
This is a personal one because everything comes from gut health, and you specialize in gut health. Like anything, you have skin conditions, basically anything that's like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but anything that's like unknown causes is normally a gut issue coming out.
So like your gut is like the second brain of your body. It's where the majority of your immune system is. It can dictate your anxiety, your depression, your energy, and because it controls your ability to absorb certain nutrients, right? So your gut is ground zero for like all the things.
What would you say are the best things like to help with anxiety and depression to maybe stay away from or your exposure to food?
Yes. Oh my gosh, such a good question. So I think foods to add in that can help reduce your anxiety are cashew nuts, for sure.
I love that.
Great, excellent. Salmon and like other fatty fish, so salmon, tuna. Also, Swiss chard is a really great green, dark leafy green Swiss chard to add in. Brussels sprouts, also super beneficial. Berries, all the berries, strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, blackberry, any berry you want. Um, those are some of like our top hits when it comes to managing anxiety. So dark leafy greens, cashews, berries, salmon, fatty fish. Oh, and avocado. Avocado.
Okay, so like the good healthy fats.
Yes. The good healthy fats and the greens are
Okay,
super,
awesome.
super beneficial. In terms of one food that you can add in to like your day that will help your gut, like help improve your gut health, no matter where your current gut health is ground flaxseed. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, you add it into like your smoothie or your salad or your fruit salad. Add it into like everything and anything. It's super beneficial. Add it into your oatmeal if you like oatmeal. You just don't want to cook it, so don't throw it in a stir fry. Don't like cook it, but cold, add it into like anything.
Oh,
Ground flaxseed, total gem. Yeah,
that's amazing. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Do you want to
so
just
fun.
shout out where people can find you and how they can
Absolutely.
coaching with you? And because I know you do probably one-on-ones and then you do
Yeah.
group coaching as well.
Oh my gosh, Conway, this was fabulous. I could talk to you forever.
I know. We'll have
I'm
to.
so
I
excited.
was
We'll have
like,
to do a
it's just
podcast.
my podcast, but I was
Yes,
like, let's just do it
I
again.
love it. I love it. I can't wait. I'm super excited. Yeah, so follow me on Instagram at Bridget Zeitlin RD. I do offer VIP one-on-one programs and also group programs. I have my signature group program actually kicking off on Monday, May 22nd, Radical Reset. It's 8 weeks long where you learn the basics, like the 8 basic pillars of nutrition and how to understand your body and eat for your body so that you can lose weight, stress less about food, and feel good in your skin. So it's 2 months, and yeah, and by August, you're already there.
So
Yeah, and it's awesome. I'm super excited about it.
that's so exciting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Thank you so much. And
Of
when I'm
course,
in,
thank you.
I gotta go see you, and I'll eat a bagel with you.
I
Guilt
can't
free.
wait. I can't wait.
Free bagel.
I love. I love it. Yes, let me know when you're in town.
I love it. Okay, thanks, girl. Bye.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for
Bye.
joining too.
Thanks, everyone.